So we need to talk about BreadTube, and not just BreadTube, but the left in general, because I'm very disillusioned. It's not the first time I've criticized BreadTube. I've completely, abandoned the idea that BreadTube is a genuine platform for anarchists, but people are consistently pushing the idea that, we as leftists need to be pushing, the algorithm to be in the leftist favor. That's not what we should be doing. I mean, sure, we as leftists should be making leftist content, and we should be pushing that as much as possible, but at the same time, we need to be organizing in real life. And we need to be making a real impact in the real world. Making content on the internet isn't going to do anything if it doesn't have a real life impact. Let me give you a real life example. Sargon of Akkad, okay? He is the most reprehensible human being in the world, in my opinion. He's the literal definition of a fascist. But he ran for the UKIP party, right, in his government. He actually participated in the election. And because he actually did that, he actually had a real-life impact to motivate people in real life. He organized. The thing is, however, is that we as leftists need to be doing the same thing. However, we need to be organizing not necessarily in the parliament or in the election, but we need to be organizing, to appeal to the masses. We need to be creating unions. We need to be creating affinity groups. We need to be creating organizations that combat certain intersections of oppression. We need to be creating different outlets that, literally combat these intersections of struggle within our community. And if we're not doing that, then what the fuck is the point of our, movement to begin with? I literally do not like BreadTube, because BreadTube literally tries to see itself as this woke intersection of the internet, and BreadTube is an intersection of the internet that has symbolizes itself based on the conquest of bread, which is a book that I have basically, founded my inspiration on. But the thing is that, it doesn't, view itself on that. It literally operates based on competition, which is basically on a capitalist platform. The very fact that we are on YouTube, the very fact that we are on Reddit, we are literally designed to compete with each other. But we shouldn't be competing with each other. We need to be helping each other. We need to be working with each other and making dual power structures. Now, what do I mean by dual power structures? Well, here's a website called the Dual Power Map, where you can actually find a dual power structure in your local area, and you can join or participate in. Or why don't you make your own dual power structure and, join the map yourself? And also, here's a website called Fridays for Future, which is a really, really handy website for all organizing across the globe for anyone who is looking to organize a strike against climate change. If you're not out there, realistically speaking, I don't know what your excuse is. A dual power structure is basically a worker co-op that utilizes the function of the working class without giving the profits to the capitalists. So you basically have the necessities of, things like, hospitals and lawyers and libraries and things like that, but without actually giving it to, a capitalist or, the state. You actually can, provide it to the working class. That's basically the things that we need to be creating in our society. We need to be creating worker co-op societies. And as the left, we need to be creating goals like that. We need to be creating goals where we, the working class, sees the means of production, not fucking around on BreadTube trying to get the best out of your algorithm. What's the point of being a leftist? When you chose to be a leftist, what is the point of being a leftist in your perspective? Was it to, capitalize on the leftist perspective? Or was it to actually see the betterment of mankind? Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that, if you're going to use YouTube as a platform to vocalize your thoughts and vocalize your opinions, especially as a leftist content creator, or even as a leftist spectator, at the end of the day, you need to be, actively thinking about, your role. What are you doing to, better society? Are you making society better for, marginalized folks? Is what you're doing, basically ending capitalism, or is it going to result in a flimsy reform that can be turned over by some fascist 4 years later?